Assalamu alaikum.
Aleyküm selam ve rahmetullah.
How are you today?
As usual, Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, thank you. How about yourself?
Alhamdulillah. If you share the screen, we are ready to start. I know it's Eid Mubarak to everyone. It's the fourth day of the Eid, and so some might be busy with maybe Eid visiting, but inshallah, we're going to continue our program. Since it's the fourth day, we think that's okay. Do it inshallah, and we will. Um, we're still covering the subjects on um, the Quran as the book of wisdom. As a part of that, we particularly try to address some modern issues, such as the secular ideology that embedded into scientific discourse, into the textbook. And so what we're trying to do, trying to essentially reveal this ideology and come up with good reasoning to negate this ideology, because that is essential for La ilaha part. And particularly we as people of 21st century, that we go through such educational system. So it's really essential that we understand the problem in the knowledge, with the knowledge, and to see how we can, in a way, remove this poisonous ideology, and then we can look at the remaining knowledge as a sign, as an area. So, and that's how we describe the Quran as a guidebook that help us, the book of wisdom, that help us to read the wisdom in creation, in the event, in life. And inshallah, we'll continue on this. And this week, particularly, we're going to focus on some verses from the Quran to reflect on this. And inshallah, that will, for those who miss the sessions, in last, I'll say 3 weeks, we strongly recommend you go and watch those sessions on the internet to clearly see what are the points and what are the issues that we all face and how we can negate those. So are we ready, Dr. Ali?
Inshallah, inshallah. Now, we will, inshallah, continue how the Quran represents what the creation is all about, what the universe is all about, as opposed to what we have been really studying, what the people, all sorts of people, of course, serious thinking people, not taking notice of what the Quran is, what Islam is saying. Usually, what they do, everybody knows this, but just to start the discussion today, they reject religion, they reject the idea of belief in terms of Christianity as it is presented to them. Not original Christianity. I don't think it is the case at all. But as it is established as an institution in the Western world, Christianity, and Christianity turned into a church religion. Church religion means clergy authority based religion. So they rejected this literal reading of the text, revelation, and also the text is not as clear and pure and intact as the Quran is, but still the text can be understood in another way if it is not read with uh, literal meaning. But they rejected it, and they felt that it is so comfortable to deny religion and get rid of it. because as it is presented to them, didn't make sense to them. That was so comfortable area for them. What they did, uh, once they rejected, pushed religion away, or uh, the universe which is created by God, the idea that the universe has been created by a being who is the owner of the universe, creator of the universe. If they pushed it away, they declared that the universe is for us. It means for a person who wants to explain the universe without any owner, without any creator, no source of existence. It happened to be there as if they found something lost and no one owns it and treated it as they want. Unfortunately, the Muslim world, after certain, of course, middle age, left studying the universe and especially reading the Quran alongside with the witnessing of the universe. So, as I put this title there, universe was an unclaimed universe, became an unclaimed universe after the 12th century or 13th century Christian era. So they say universe has no, if you think about or remember about what the scientists claim, what the philosophers are claim. The scientists claim that universe has no owner. We found it. Happened to be out there. They cannot explain how it happened to be out there, by the way. They say, we don't know, but we found it there. Philosophers claim that universe is dumb, doesn't speak. They say the universe doesn't speak, doesn't respond to my question. But they understand, or their approach is, I am asking matter, explain to me, tell me why, how you came into existence. Matter says nothing verbally. That's why it is very famous among many philosophers actually. Universe does not respond to human questions, to human inquiries, especially philosophical questions, existential questions. They thought, they treated in this way as well. But there are, of course, exceptions to this category. There are believing philosophers as well. But when we look at the Quran, Quran says, hey, look at the universe carefully. Look at the universe carefully. It is screaming and it is saying, I have an owner in a joyful way. Everything is in the universe, proclaims the happiness, pleasure of their existence, and announcing in an harmony, as if in an orchestra, everybody, every part of every piece of the galaxy uses different instrument, makes an huge orchestra, but in harmony altogether, no contradiction at all. Perfect. And human beings also joining them and proclaiming that, yes, we have an owner. And this owner is the absolute being. So we are happy that to announce that. Of course, this is an AI made figure. So we know that we can only explain this much, but the animals, the plants, the human beings, and the stars, everything is speaking according to the teachings of the Quran. And when we study the universe, we found out that they are really announcing this, each being announcing that I must have been created by the one who created the whole universe. We are all integral, harmoniously existing beings, supporting each other. Everybody is happy. Now, this is how, in today's terms, we can represent the universe. But in the Quran, when we look at the Quranic language, Quran says everything in the universe proclaims the uh, exalts the creator's qualities, announces the creator's qualities, and most of the time Quran presents this in the tongue of the angels. Angels make tasbih, glorifications. It means announcement of the qualities, infinite, absolute qualities of their creator. Of course, I'm not saying these figures here, angels, represents angels. We know that. That's our handicap. Now, the cosmos declare is, I have an owner. Another picture, just try to make it more meaningful. But we have to see that as universe announces the qualities of their creator, the human beings also find it so joyful, doesn't contradict their human feelings. That's why universe and human beings must be combined together so that it will make sense to me. When I understand that the universe has been created for human beings, although the body of human being is so insignificant, it speckled, but uh, human spirit, human mind, human intelligence, human consciousness comprehend this whole universe, even goes beyond it. Human beings ask, where did it come from? Look, my intellect immediately go beyond the capacity of the universe. So this I wanted to have it that in orchestral harmony, the universe screams, I have an owner. So I asked the AI, I said, look, uh, make me a figure or picture. The Quran is pointing to the universe. It made it only this much. I think I couldn't give a good prompt to it. So أفلم ينظروا إلى السماء فوقهم كيف بنيناها وزيناها وما لها من فروج. Of course, have they not looking at the universe? Have they not looked at the universe above them? How we have built it up and we have decorated it, beautified it. وما لها من فروج. You cannot see any discrepancy in it, any discrepancy, any sign of accidental happening, any sign of chaotic happening at all, from the smallest quark to the biggest galaxies. No discrepancy, disharmony at all. Perfectly one unit. And that is why human beings are happy with this universe, because they feel at home within the universe, and they understand that the universe is the present of their creator. So the Quran and the universe is so much interrelated. Unfortunately, somehow, as far as I could see, I'm, I'm not a philosopher, I'm not a philosophy major, but as a layman, we read, like everyone else. I have never seen any famous Western philosopher taking notice of what Quran says about the universe, about the existence of the universe. Never. Uh, there was a French philosopher, which is the famous name, and he is the founder of occasionalism. Now, he has, in his book, Search for Truth, it's a very famous fundamental truth. And unfortunately, he criticizes Quran without knowing what the Quran is saying. Not at all. So much ignorant of the Quran, but being biased as a Christian and seeing Islam as a warrior's religion. And he says something negative about the Quran, but I'm very well aware that he has never read the Quran at all. Never read. Just hearing from others. Unfortunately. Let's go now, Dr. Najat, if you don't mind. Let's see the Quran, how Quran, universe integrated with each other. You cannot separate the Quran from the universe and also the universe from the Quran.
Okay. I think before you move it to those I give some examples. I want to just add a few points if I can. So uh, the essential point here is that
Now,
whether
excuse me. Yeah, but I think you should, if you
with
don't
the right
mind,
hand.
with your hand. So
Very
I
good.
know your living conditions there. Now,
Okay.
make it very
So
close. For
is
the
it better?
recording is important.
Okay. Is it better now?
Oh, excellent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to just make 2 3 points. So essentially, the key idea here is that whether the universe has a meaning or not, and whether the universe speaks anything to us, or and if yes, then what does the universe is saying to us? So unlike those secular philosophers and scientists, so we arguing that the universe is not silent, is speaking, and the universe is speaking very interesting, amazing, meaningful things to us. So in that case, when we look at it, so essentially, as you go into the Quran, I feel like the very first revelation of Quran, that Iqra and repetition of Iqra 3 times, refer to those 3 points that you just mentioned. So Iqra means that look at the things and there is a meaning and message for you and read this message. So, and what you're going to read, you read the book of universe, that's the creation. You read the book of human feeling, human fitra, that's yourself. And you read the book of Quran, that's revelation. So, and in a way that when Angel Jibril came, and I think that's my interpretation, when he repeated this Iqra 3 times, it's like as if that was a reference to the 3 different books that's supposed to be read together. So in that case, I think the essential part is to read the universe and then to reflect on your own feeling and fitra to see how they go side by side, and then reflect on the Quran. So if you could read those 3 books together in very, let's say, integrated manner and harmonious manner, it seems like it's going to help us to drive wisdom, drive the meaning in everything's that we experience in life. So, and therefore, I think it's really essential in this regard to emphasize that how those 3 things has to be compatible with each other, has to support each other, and has to, in a way, has to be read together. And I think the ayat that we're going to reflect on it is going to be very good example of this. In this case, this type of reading, inshallah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Of course, meaningful creation. That is why we have to read the Quran and the universe at the same time. and you will see that what the universe is speaking to us with no voice and a silent speech in its existence. Quran is translating this silent speech of the universe into verbal explanation. So they are completing each other. So definition of the Quran we have been studying, that's understanding of the Quran. So we have to define what the Quran is. The ninth definition is book of thought and wisdom. So I wrote this here, reading the universe as an embodied Quran. What does it mean? Universe is like a living body, but embodied Quran. Now, its spirit is the manifestations of the qualities of its creator, Ismail Husna. Why I wrote this, I want to make a parallel between human body and human spirit. We have to be careful here. Human spirit is directly from God, from our creator, as the Quran explains. No? And the creation of human spirit has no, as far as we see in this world, the way we are accustomed to it, there is no cause. Now, for example, if I don't eat, my body diminishes, right? There is a relationship, material relationship, there, food and nourishment of my body. But as far as spirit is concerned, there is no such thing. Direct creation, right? So what I wanted to point here, the universe is also direct revelation of the qualities of Ismail Husna, qualities of God, the Creator's qualities. So we can see that the meaningful side of the universe is the life spirit of the universe, if you like. This parallel. So I have to see the whole universe within my body, in my existence. Material aspect is like my body. Meaningful aspect is my like spirit. My spirit is the tool to understand, the decode, to disentangle the qualities of the creator manifested in the universe. So see myself as a microcosm of the macrocosm of the universe, this relationship. So we have to get used to seeing the universe as a living being. Its spirit is manifested Esmaul Husna. My spirit communicates with the spirit of the universe. My body communicates with the material side of the universe. So this parallel is so interesting. That's why we can easily call that the universe is an embodied Quran. What does it mean? Of course, universe, material side is created. But what manifested in the universe as Ma'il Husna is absolute. Now, Mus'haf, here it is, Mus'haf is created. What the meaning of the Mus'haf when we read it is, Dr. Necati, continue, uncreated. You understood? So, in this sense, we have to make the comparison between the Mus'haf and the speech of God written on it. The universe is a Mus'haf. Qualities, Ismail Husna of the Creator is written in it. That's what the Quran says. Read this Ismail Husna in the creation of the universe. It is an amazing way of understanding Islamic cosmology, Quranic cosmology. One universe, one human being communicates with each other as if human spirit is the telescope reading the whole universe with his spirit. But when you read the spirit of the universe, which is manifested qualities of its creator. Ismail Husna, Quran says. That's why Quran emphasizes, you can only acknowledge God. How? By the manifestation of Ismail Husna. All the beautiful qualities that we observe in the universe belongs to him. That's why we have to communicate with the creator of the universe by the witnessing of the universe. It means I have to connect my spirit to its source, God, through the witnessing of the universe, where the universe manifests as my Husna. If we have this understanding, this awareness, consciously aware of it, we are always living in the presence of Allah. And then my spirit never, ever gets bored and afraid of anything, because everything is just what or how my Creator wanted to demonstrate Himself to me through the creation of the universe, and I am witnessing it as if universe is a fair demonstrating the qualities of its creator. MashaAllah.
Yeah,
So,
that's very good. We may add something here because it's really, really important. Because I see that way of connecting to the Creator through the divine names, through the names. It is available to everyone, everywhere, in everything's. So it's not like, let's say, you're a special individual, you're given the things. I feel like particularly when I see that you might not be educated, you might not really go beyond your village, but I see the sign is everywhere, is encompassing. So when let's say, see in the springtime, and then you see the manifestation of those divine names in springtime, that you could see that the message, the meaning in them, and the message communicated to you through that. So in this regard, I think it's very essential to know how you could read those manifestation. So as you read those manifestation, then you can basically make connection with the creator. Okay, so therefore I think that is really a very good point, that if we make the connection to the divine names, then we can feel the presence of the creator everywhere. So let's look at some verses to see really how it's done. I think that's why, in a way, Quran is really teaching us about this.
first of all, yes, you're right. First of all, I have put this two verses actually from Surah Yusuf, I'm sorry, Yusuf. We think that the use of Surah Yusuf is the just life story of Yusuf. No, there are many, many interesting messages there. So, Bismillah. وكأين من آية في السماوات والأرض يمرون عليها وهم عنها معرضون وما يؤمن أكثرهم بالله إلا وهم مشركون. It's a frightening ayat for me. Maybe not for you. Let me read the translation. It will explain why I said this. You will understand. Yet there are many signs in the heavens and the earth that they pass by and give no heed to. No, in the heavens and the earth. That's signs. Signs of the qualities of the Creator manifested in the Misma'ul Husna. Most of them will only believe in God. Yes, they say, no, universe is a creator, while also joining others with him shirk. وهم مشركون. It is so important. If someone doesn't bring evidence from the creation for his belief, the Quran says inevitable he will fall into shirk. Why? He will start imagining God and thinking other things as well have some sort of effect in creation. Wow, it is so dangerous. I found myself here. I don't pay attention to the creation. And I don't look for evidence for my belief in Akhirah, in the next creation, for my belief in angels, and for my belief in revelation, in the signs in the creation, resurrection. I don't have evidence from the universe. So my belief in six pillars of Islam may be shaky, not complete, or mixed with shirk. Of course, I don't intend it, but the Quran is drawing our attention. I think understood. It is so essential for us to pay attention to the universe and look for evidence for anything related to belief in ghaib. And the Quran is full of evidence about it as well. But we have to work together, Quran and the universe, Quran and the universe. Unfortunately, the Islamic civilization has neglected the universe for 8 centuries, 800 years. The universe is left abandoned in the studies of the Muslim educational institutions. Inshallah, 5D thinking will revive it. Inshallah. So, Bismillah, another ayah. أفلم ينظروا إلى السماء فوقهم كيف بنيناها وزيناها وما لها من فروج. Do they not look at the sky above them? How we have built it and made it beautiful and free of all faults. You know, creation is different from making it beautiful. Why? Who appreciates the beauty in the creation? Every galaxy has its own shape, its own color, according to the age. Now, so these are the beautiful harmony of the universe and different musical instruments, but same music. It is a beautiful, and most Muslim scholars use this orchestra example a lot, and also some Western scholars. I have read them. They say universe is like orchestra. Everybody is different. I mean, playing with different instrument, but in harmony. If you like, the Quran is the orchestra chef. So that is just an imagination describing how the universe is, with its billions of trillions of different stars and types of creation, but everything is so perfectly arranged. No discrepancy at all. So now, again, the book of thought and wisdom is, we are continuing
Yeah,
here.
I can. Yeah, before you move to the next one, let's, if I can, I want to reflect briefly on those two ayah. So the first
Yeah.
one, when I was thinking on that, in a way, obviously it's very clear. It's saying that there are most of believers, they are actually they believe, but they commit shirk. That's like the why. Who are those believers? They commit shirk. It's essentially saying that when they do not see the sign, they don't pay attention to the sign. That's how they commit shirk in this regard. So one way I was really reflecting on this, it's like in a way, it's saying whenever you see something, and then you need to really pay attention, try to read the signs. Now, my own like I think first time when I discovered the meaning of desire, and I felt like wherever I go, then I see something new. I go to different places, see something new, particularly. Then if I don't really pay attention and reflect, then I might be in a way in danger of this, let's say, a threat in desire. And what I find out, most people, when they go and they see the sign, they take the picture to show themselves, to say where I have been. Can you see, what I do here? They don't pay attention to the sign itself in terms of, pay attention to this sign. Let's read together. They actually use this sign to attract the attention of people through the social media to themselves. That is very ironic. And the Quran is saying that no, those are the sign to attract your attention to the creator. And he is, in a way, sending this to you that you can ignore that. I'm now, with the Eid in Eastern Turkey in the hometown. And when I look around and see those signs in the springtime, it is overwhelming. It's unbelievable. But then when you really look at people to see what they will talk about those, they will talk about beauty. They will talk about, oh, it's an amazing, it's very nice, it's green, it's an excellent weather. But they barely reflect on the meaning behind that. They barely reflect on it as a sign, as a way of connection and communication with creator. So I think that's part is, both if we look at the second ayah as well, when it says that kaifa is essentially saying reflect on them and see how this can happen. And when you ask this question of how this happened, that you could clearly see that this must be the work of absolute power. So once you ask this question, have this conclusion, and conclude that it must be his work, then now you could start to read as a his sign. So therefore, I think those ayah is very powerful, and I think we have to really take those ayah as a personal message to us, that whatever we do, wherever we go, we should try to read those signs. And if we're not reading those signs, which is those signs in a way is an endless, so I think that we need to know we are at the risk of falling in ghafla, being forgetful, or falling in shirk. That's the ayah clearly threatening in this regard, saying the most believer is falling into shirk because of that.
No, that's right. And now, another thing, when we say uh, universe, the Quran asks us to look at the universe and read the meaning there, manifested qualities of the Creator will be apparent, will become apparent to you. But we forget that we are in the universe ourselves. We ourselves are a part of the universe here, you know, universe within universe, if you like. So the ayat says, فَلْيَنْظُرُ الْإِنسَانُ مِمَّا خُلِقَ. Here, man should reflect on what he was created from. No, we usually, the Muslims think that we have to think why we are created. That is correct. That is fair. But what we are created from, or how we are created, also is the subject of the Quran. Asks us look at how you are created. Another one is وفي الأرض آيات للموقنين وفي أنفسكم أفلا تبصرون. Now it's very important. On earth, there are signs for those with inner certainty and in yourself too. Do you not see? Why don't you see it means? أفلا تبصرون. Aren't you going to really pay attention to it? It means أفلا تبصرون. But translation says, well, do you not see? It's weak. But we understand. Why don't you reflect on it? It means. You should. It means. Okay? And the other one is,
May I ask one
والله
question
أخرج.
on that, Dr. Ali? So for this ayah, just you reflect on it. وفي الأرض آيات للموقنين. So is this like a means if you are have the inner certainty, you're gonna see the ayah, or is this means that those ayah that lead the inner certainty, or both? Which one? What do you think?
No, in fact, when you read it, وفي الأرض آيات للموقنين. I don't want to go into details of the ayah, otherwise we cannot finish this. But what I wanted to say, how Quran refers to the universe, to ourselves as well, and invites us strongly and repetitively, pay attention to this, pay attention to, don't ignore the universe. So, Lil Muqrin here, in fact, in the context of the verse, it says, if you want to reach a inner certainty, you have to see the signs in yourself. Now, وفي الأرض آيات للموقنين. It means if you are already muqin, it means inner certainty. You don't need it. You are already. But the Quran says, do you want to do you want to have an inner certainty? Then you have to pay attention to your own existence as well. Inshallah. But inshallah, we will study the Quran's beautiful rhetorical qualities or rhetorical side. It is incredible. But our subject is not that now. That's why.
Because the reason I asked that, I think, because when you look at the translation first, it gives impression as if you are person of muqinin,
Hmm.
then you're gonna see the sign. But actually, as you
No.
mentioned, it seems like those ayah are those who want to reach the yaqeen, inner certainty, and the ayah is for them lead to the yaqeen. So
Yeah.
that is I think this is very, very important, distinguish. So in a way to
Yeah.
say the sign is the tool given to you with which you can have this inner, you can have the inner certainty, you can have yaqeen.
Yeah. Inshallah. Inshallah. So, Bismillah, I want to finish the ayats today because the purpose is just to show that the Quran how really refers to the universe. That we didn't in Islamic Muslim culture, it is not common. It is not common. When you speak about religion, for example, go to the mosque and listen to khutbah. No one mentions about the universe. That's strange. Unfortunately, it happened after 12th century for some reasons. So it is very heartbreaking. Anyways, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wallahu akhrajakum min butun ummahatikum لا تعلمون شيئا وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة لعلكم تشكرون. It is God who brought you out of your mother's wombs, knowing nothing, look, materially nothing, and gave you hearing and sight and self-conscious hearts. Look, afida is not qulub, qalb. Qalb is mostly represents human external feelings, but afida is in respect of the heart, which is I thought the best translation will be a self-conscious heart. We are aware of our own existence. That is amazing. And materialist philosophers cannot explain this at all. How a human being, a piece of this universe, accidentally happened to be a human being evolved by itself randomly. Comedy. I mean, not a legend. And he's aware of his own existence. But the Quran says, now, Allah, the owner of the universe, Rabbul Alameen, has brought you into this existence, give you the ability to see. Not only eye. Eye doesn't see. Eye doesn't see. A dead man's eye cannot see anything. The human being, human spirit, uses the eye as a telescope. It is a tool. We think that eye sees. That's what the materialist biologists or medical studies say. Human spirit sees through eye. Human spirit think through brain. Human spirit hears and understands through the tool of ear. Ear doesn't hear, ear doesn't understand. Brain is a meat, not thought. So, especially afida, self-consciousness, aware of one's own existence. If you can do this, then you can be thankful to your God. Otherwise, you say, oh, my head is aching, life is difficult, and complain about your existence and criticize God. Why did you put me in this troubled world? We don't know how to read the universe, unfortunately. Okay, go. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار والفلك التي تجري في البحر بما ينفع الناس وما أنزل الله من السماء من ماء فأحيا به الأرض بعد موتها وبث فيها من كل دابة بتصريف الرياح والسحاب والمسخر بين السماء والأرض لآيات لقوم يعقلون. Now, think, but use your brain intelligence as well in this ayah. I will read it quickly. In the creation of the heavens and earth, and the alternations of the night and day, in the ships that sail the seas with goods for people, human-made ship as well. They are also God's blessings. Without, for example, the water in the sea or in lakes, whatever, or big rivers, didn't have this quality to lift up, there will be no ship, no ship. So human-made, but still Allah's blessing. So ships, they sail the sea, they sail the seas with goods for people transfer. In the water, which God sends down from the sky to give life to the earth when it has been barren, the earth, scattering all kinds of creatures over it. It means the millions of different kinds of living beings created just out of the same material. Can you imagine? Can you make with the same material 2 million different kinds of species of living beings? Same material, water. That's what the Quran says. Allah's the manifestations of, I mean, dense manifestations of his qualities is ash on water. It's a very important example to reflect on. In the changing of the winds and the clouds that run their appointed courses, it's not accidental. Everything is perfectly within order between the sky and earth. There are signs in all these, for those who use reason, their reason, use your how they exist, who arranges this. Is it possible that it accidentally exploded by itself and in the course of time run its own order, which is perfectly, it is what is ridiculous, Dr. Najati. This perfect harmony came out of chaos, out of chaos. And they say, the very famous. If you break a glass, you cannot make it back. Randomly, how can you say it randomly happened? Randomly, they break the glass and leave it for 10 billion years, not 10 million, 100 billion years. The pieces of glass accidentally became its original shape. Is it possible? All philosophers say no, it is not possible. How the universe came out of chaos then? Crazy. They are materialist ones are crazy. Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وما خلقنا السماء والأرض وما بينهما باطلا ذلك ظن الذين كفروا فويل للذين كفروا من النار. The same messages here as we talked about muttaqin, muqinin. Now let me read the translation first. We have not created the heavens and earth and everything in between without purpose. Everything is purposeful. No, nothing is unwise at all. As the disbelievers assume. No. Now we say, if someone decides that I'm not going to believe, that is how they interpret the universe. This is what I mean. Again, the ظَنُّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. They interpret the universe because they don't want to submit themselves to the Creator. That is why they assume that it might have happened accidentally, just get right and kept their life. Why? What? How do did you know that quarks have consciousness? No one says this. No one can claim this. How they will suffer from the fire, not only in the hereafter, here as well. You see, I always keep saying that. Please read the life of the atheist philosophers, how they lived. They tortured themselves, not Allah. They are torturing themselves. Of course, Allah is asking them with His mercy, says, come out of this contradiction. What the disbelief contradicts what human spirit needs. So they are themselves really pushing down the spirit, and the spirit is now suffering from their denial. So that is if you like, the spirit, human spirit is rebelling. What you are doing, how can you treat me like this with no honor, no meaning, no purpose? That is why if someone doesn't intend to deny the Creator, universe is an absolute evidence for it, guides it to the truth. But they block themselves. They are biased. They are prejudiced. Their mind is so blocked. There is no Creator. There is no Creator. I'm not going to submit my existence to Him. Then they interpret that there is no meaning, there is no purpose in creation. It happened to be by itself. It is the result of kufr, not the kafir interprets in this way. To become a kafir, you have to interpret the universe as accident. Do you understand? Is it clear? Now, You have to decide that I'm not going to accept the creator, and then look at the universe. You can torture yourself, saying that this is the accidental happening. I am the result of accident. Am I going too fast?
No, I think it's not about fast, but those are very important issue. I really want to highlight two things because in the first ayah that you know, reflect in Surah Al-Baqarah, it says those are a sign for the لِقَوْمِ يَعْقِلُونَ. The second ayah, ذَلِكَ الظَّنُّ. Now, عقل يعقلون and ظنوا are very, you know, in a way, one says that if you use your mind, then the sign is everywhere. But if you make the dhan, and then that's your mistakes. Because of that, then now you don't see that and you don't see the meaning. So essentially, you know, sometimes when we say what is the biggest crime, the people, biggest crime that in the eyes of Allah, people will say it is shirk because Allah says in the Quran, shirk is the worst things. And actually, I don't think the biggest crime is the shirk. I think the biggest crime is not using your mind properly. The reason is because the shirk is the consequences. When we don't use the mind properly, then we commit the shirk. But when you use the mind, the sign is everywhere. If you properly use the mind and reflect on the sign, whether it's the ayah that was mentioning is the day and night, or whether is the rain that is coming, or whether it is the plants that is created around you. So no one has any excuse whatsoever. In reality, those are very, you know, overwhelming. And in this regard, that when you see those signs, and those signs will lead you to the creator. So when you don't see the sign, then okay, I think there's a voice problem. I don't know. Is it? Can you hear me? There's so the
No, no, no.
message in the
It's all
chat.
right. That's all right.
Okay,
That's all right. That's all right.
okay.
Perfect. All
Yeah,
right.
that's what I wanna highlight. That you know. So my point here is that it is we need to really reflect or have the proper thinking on the sign. Then we can derive those messages, make connection. But if we are just making certain false assumption, that's the dhan. And when we make the false assumption, and essentially we reach to the false conclusion, including shirk, and that's because of our false assumption. So therefore I consider the biggest crime, the root cause of all problem, is the lack of proper thinking. And if we do that, if we can manage to think, because there are countless signs around us, they're going to lead us to the creator and make the connection with him.
Now, what I understood from it, if someone has an open mind, free thinking, let me look at this, everything around me. What are they all about? How come they exist? How come this beauty, arrangement, purposefulness, measurement, nothing to do with the quality of matter itself at all. Matter is just subject to the order, and it has to be as it is given existence, created in the position. Every matter is like a brick in the bridge, in a house, in a building. So wherever the master or architect puts the bricks there, changes, it changes. But it cannot change. You know, quarks are the bricks of the universe. So open mind. And then open-mindedness takes us to believe, confirm that this universe must have an owner, must have an owner. That's my rational conclusion. But if someone broke his mind and says that there's no creator. No, I'm not going to accept religion. They usually mean Christianity. Christianity or Hebrew presentation of God. So it means Hebrew Bible reading. They say, no, no, it doesn't make sense. I mean, literal reading doesn't make sense. I understand. But if someone is sincere, definitely by reading The Torah, they believe in God, but it needs sincerity. You are reading a literal, but that's another subject when I'm jumping. So I am sorry for this. So they reject the false understanding of belief, religion presented to them. Unfortunately, the Quran is not introduced to the Western world as the translator of the universe. Unfortunately, Quran is introduced to the Western world as Muslim sacred book. They pray 5 times a day. They Ramadan. They know Islam as Ramadan, fasting. They don't know that Islam is the reading of the universe. I don't blame, but blame myself. We didn't present the Quran as it is. So they block their mind. I'm not going to submit myself to church. I'm not going to submit myself to clergy. In the church, they are exploiting people's weak points, emotions. I'm not that stupid. It is correct. Then I have to explain the universe within itself. That intention is the core of kufr. Now, this intention makes them in a blocked mind. I'm not going to into theology, they say. So live in cosmology without reference to theology. So explain the universe within itself and end up with chaos gave birth to perfect order. Look at this blocked mind, blocked mind. But Iman starts with open-mindedness, not another blocked mind. Saying, I believe in God. Where did you get this belief in God? Witnessing of the universe. So you have to look at the universe with an open mind. Universe will introduce its creator to you. The Quran will tell you that what the universe is telling, that is how I am presenting to you. So you should know me only. I am ghaib. I am absolute. I am absolute infinite. So you cannot know me. So looking at the sky and finding me there. You can only know me through my work, which is the universe. Perfect reading is required. Time is up, Dr. Najat. I am excited about these matters, so I should stop. Inshallah,
Yeah, I
we
think that's
couldn't finish. Next week there are many ayats that we have to talk about. Inshallah, we will continue. Exciting ayats.
yes, for sure. I think that's very, very important and to read and those Quranic ayat and to reflect on the sign in the creation and to make such connection. I think it's absolutely essential, as you mentioned. It's all about being open-minded, even when you, as a believer, if you are closed-minded and just say, I believe, without having a clear, convincing, compelling evidence, that you're just basically moving from one blocked, narrow-mindedness to another one. That's in a way called ta'assub. So, and I think it's really essential that once we see the sign and establish conviction based on that, we'll be very open to the dialogue. We are not going to get angry. I feel most of the time those who are really narrow minded but believe in something as a truth, they are not open to dialogue because they're afraid they might lose it. So, therefore, when they get challenged, they get angry. They start to fight with you because they're afraid that you might give them doubt. But I think we as a believer, if our belief is based on seeing the sign and the conviction come from this by witnessing the sign, then we just share with anyone who want to have a dialogue, and we don't in a way fight with anyone. because even if we are sure what we have it is an absolute truth because it's evidence based, we know our limit. We say, I just share with them. It's not within my power to convert them. It's ultimately belief is a matter of choice. I will share nicely with qawli layyin. The person accept or not accept is not my business. Okay. Because it's not within my power. So my job is to build my own iman with based on evidence and to reach yaqeen and share with anyone who wants to have a similar iman. So that's, I think that's very, very good point. And I believe, unfortunately, we don't have such open mindedness amongst believers. And that's perhaps one reason that we get accusation from the non-believers of other secular. They consider belief is just a narrow mindedness, is a matter of just, having believing in something, not being open to, let's say, different ideas. So I think that is very, very sad situation. The Quran, it is the way the Quran put emphasis on thinking, emphasis on open-mindedness. I think it's way beyond what even philosophy is asking for. In one way, when you look at that, you say, well, what is that? Is this the philosophy book or is the book of fate? Because normally people think the book of fate is just want you to accept something and submit. But the Quran don't want you to accept what your parents tells you and says, how about if they are wrong? And says you need to actually verify what they're telling you and you need to bear witness and believe based on that. So I think that's a very good point. And inshallah, we'll continue more on this and reflect on more verses on this line, inshallah, next week. Thank you very much.
Inshallah, last word is the invitation. Let's all decide. We have to move from born Muslim into believing Muslim based on evidence. Born Muslim is a problem, but we have to have our own conclusions, confirmations, evidence. Iman cannot be inherited from your ancestors. Iman is a personal conviction, personal certainty, personal belief. You cannot inherit Iman from your ancestors, parents. Unfortunately, we lost this sense. Okay, we have to revive ourselves. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا إن الحمد لله رب العالمين وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم ربنا اغفر لنا وارحمنا وأنت خير الراحمين آمين بحرمة سر سورة الفاتحة.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. And see you next week, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
عليك